I know you know Gareth Southgate really well. What's your reaction?
I'm not surprised, by this. I think whether England would have won the tournament or lost, I think this probably would have been Gareth's decision to step away at this stage. I think the criticism that's been growing, incredibly unfair, and some of it quite personal, over the last probably 2 or 3 years. I think he's finally decided that he's had enough. I think, even if England would have won this tournament, a lot of the criticism still would have been, but we had an easy run. We didn't have to play anybody of note. We didn't play in the way that we wanted to. And what more can you do than win? 1966 on home soil was the last time we won anything. We seem to think we've got this divine right because we've got good players that we just turn up and win. Football's not like that. I think the Germans probably, are disappointed they didn't win. The French also, that they didn't win. So, no, I think people need to take a step back, look at where we were before Gareth took charge, look at what he's taken us to. And it's irrelevant of the players that we've got. He's taken us to a semi-final, a final, a quarter-final where it was probably down to a penalty that we didn't, go further on that, and another final. That's exceptional. It's going to be a very, very difficult role to fill, because if all we're talking about is success, then for the next English manager to be successful, it has to win the World Cup or he's failed.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, you mentioned there the criticism, Danny, that Gareth Southgate has had to endure. I mean, do you get a sense that it was really kind of getting to him by the end?
I think it's massively unfair. So, let me take you back, Rob, to before Gareth took charge. 2008, which was the back end of the golden generation, remember? We didn't qualify for the tournament. 2010, knocked out in the round of 16. 2012, a quarter-final. 2014, got knocked out in the group stages. 2016, lost to Iceland with a population of 300,000 people. A male population of age that could actually, to pick from, of about 50,000 people, a small village. And then Gareth takes over and we go, semi-final, quarter-final, final, and all those fantastic achievements. And he's told that it was easy. He didn't play the right way. It was an easy route through all those tournaments. I just find it difficult that people don't look at the bigger picture. And international football is completely different to club management. You get 2 or 3 days every few months to work with the players. It's very, very difficult to improve the players in that time. You're throwing a team together and trying to get them to perform. So when people talk about Klopp would do better, Guardiola would do better, I'm not sure they would, because their teams are built on the fact that they work constantly, day in, day out, for 10, 11 months of the year to get their team to play how they want. You don't get that at international level. It's a completely different job.
Danny, Jamie Carragher felt the players let him down a little bit at the Euros. Where do you stand on that one?
Completely. Gareth is very, very honest. He will look back and he will reflect and he will think, okay, in hindsight, with hindsight bias, maybe we could have done things slightly different. Maybe we would change things, if he had his time again. Maybe he wouldn't. But he's honest enough to hold his hands up and say, okay, this is a genuine assessment of where we're at. But you don't win a tournament unless your big players stand up to be counted and play to the best of their ability. How many of our players and our best players played to their full potential in this tournament? Not many, I would say. Very, very few got anywhere near that sort of standard. And I'm not talking about, 45 minutes against Holland. Across the whole tournament, those players underperformed in terms of their credentials and their ability. And that's on them. When I played for England, Sven didn't make me a better player. Sven didn't tell me, everything what I had to do. It was like, okay, you know your position. This is the rough basis. Go out there, make your own decisions. And you're an international footballer. You decide who to pass the ball to. You decide when to cross it, when to pass short, when to go long. when to make a tackle, where to run. It's not the manager making those decisions. It's a rough idea. You should be intelligent enough in terms of football intelligence and responsible enough to make decisions for yourself. And I don't think enough players stepped up and did that.
Which players in particular, Danny, do you think could have done more out there?
Well, pretty much all of them. I mean, realistically, who comes out of that squad with major credit? Jordan Pickford, I think, did pretty well. Didn't do anything wrong, has never let his country down. So, Jordan comes out of it and goes, well, look, he did probably the best that he did, and we wouldn't have got into that situation, obviously, had he not saved a penalty. Mark Gahey, I thought, performed very, very well, although there was maybe a couple of small mistakes, one potentially costly in that, but he's new to it. I thought he played well. John Stones, I thought, played well within that. You look at the rest of the team and think, Kobe Manu did okay when he came in. But I'm going around the rest of the team and go, have we all seen them play better last season for their club? Without a shadow of a doubt. So when you've got 7 or 8 of your so-called best players that don't perform to their ability, that's not just down to the manager. Those players have to have a look at themselves and take responsibility for that as well.
OK, with those players that you mentioned not performing particularly well, how much credit do they and of course, Gareth Southgate get for reaching a final, given they were maybe 6 out of 10 a lot of the time, and largely because of the culture, the togetherness, the mental resilience that he built up over a period of time?
Well, it always makes me laugh, Rob, when I hear even ex-players and now pundits talking about this is an entertainment industry. You've been involved in sport a long time. Any professional sportsman, it's got zero to do with entertainment. It's all about winning. And it doesn't matter how you win. Yes, if you can win and you can play the most attractive football on the planet, brilliant. But that very rarely happens. Pep Guardiola tried that at Bayern Munich, wasn't able to win the Champions League there. So it doesn't always work. Mourinho has played some of the most defensive football we've seen ever, but it's successful, it works, and he's a born winner, and we've seen that time and time again. Professional sport is about winning. It doesn't matter how, it's about winning, simple as that, first and foremost. That's why we have league tables. That's why we have trophies and cup competitions. So, yes, okay, we didn't quite win this time, but we got very, very close, got closer than we've ever got before. So can we please stop talking about, oh, it's disappointing that we don't play in this entertaining way? And when I hear people say, well, whoever the next manager is, as long as it's attractive, expansive football, we don't mind if we get to a quarter-final. That is absolute nonsense. I couldn't care less if we play kick and rush or we go long ball and play Wimbledon of the late 80s and launch it in if we win a tournament. It's all about winning.
OK, what will Gareth's legacy be, Danny?
Well, I think he's brought the players back together. I think he sort of rejoined fans and players and had a huge part in that, in bringing everybody back together. There was a huge media side of it and a player side of it. No one wanted really to speak to her there. Everyone was like scared of saying anything and doing something. So I think he's done that. And he's been very successful. When you look at his record and what he's achieved, and we talked about it earlier, compared to other managers, the golden generation weren't able to do it. After that, Capello, incredible club manager. Sven, club manager. Kevin Keegan, some of the most attractive attacking football on the planet. Terry Venables, sadly no longer with us. None of these managers have been able to achieve what Gareth achieved. Simple as that. So I think he deserves a lot more respect than he gets at the moment. Being the manager of the national team is not just about coaching. It's about leadership. It's about leading your country at times. You have to be a spokesman. You have to deal with a lot more than you have to at club level. You get drawn into politics and everything else that gets surrounded by it. You are the focal point of England and the England football team. So, yeah, I think Gareth has done an exceptional job. I think he's handled it with dignity. respect. And I think, people should maybe just take a step back and offer him that respect and dignity that he's given them.
Yeah, well said. Can you see him getting a club job? He was, of course, linked with Manchester United before the Euros, Danny, or does he just need to take his time now?
I know him well. I'm like, please, Gareth, take a holiday. Go away for a few months and do something. I might finally get a game of golf with him if he's finally got some spare time. But no, he doesn't need to step back into anything. He's devoted 8 years. I would say he's devoted more time in that 8 years than any other England manager ever has. Most England managers saw the England job as a part-time role. They would dip in and out. They would watch a few games. Gareth has been at Wembley, St George's Park, watching games pretty much every single day of that 8 years. He's very, very diligent in every single thing that he does. And that's been part of why we've been so successful, including, 3 out of 4 penalty shootouts we've won. That never happened before. So no, I think I'd love him to take a holiday, take stock for 6 months or so at least, and then think about what's next. There's no reason for him to step into anything unless he really wants to. But first and foremost, go and spend some time with family and friends, have a breakaway, and enjoy life for a bit.
OK, he's left England in a far better place, and of course, where he found them after Iceland and Sam Allardyce and everything that went on there. So whoever does come in finds a good crop of players, a decent culture. But who do you think is the right man to replace him, Danny?
I genuinely believe it's very, very difficult to pick one person. When people are throwing around Klopp, Guardiola, Ancelotti, Zidane, they're not going to take the England job. Why would they take it? You could only fail as the England manager. Unless you win the World Cup in 2 years' time, you can only fail. I know it talked about, these club managers want to be working on a daily basis. International management is completely different. And then we're going down the right of, well, are we looking for an English manager, a homegrown manager? They've talked about Lee Carsley, obviously coming through and being maybe interim or the next manager. Okay, I understand that, but that's a huge step up. I know it worked with Gareth, but Gareth had played for England, understood it an awful lot. Lee's Irish. So we're not even going down the homegrown route in that respect. So then you're looking at maybe Graham Potter's name's been mentioned. Okay, did okay at smaller clubs, and that's not being disrespectful to Brighton. Got the Chelsea job, struggled with the players, struggled with the egos in that dressing room, struggled with, all the media attention that went with that. He found it difficult. Maybe he's learned from that. I don't know him well enough, personally to say that. Eddie Howe's been talked about. Again, it has come through the ranks as a young manager, done very, very well, but doesn't really have any knowledge of international football, has never been in that situation, has never played at international level, hasn't managed at international level, has only ever had one season in Europe. So again, you're looking at, in terms of international management, an absolute rookie. So where else are we looking within that? I think we've also got to think, who wants the job? There will be takers, of course there will be. But I don't think there'll be as many takers as people think, because it's a poison chalice. We've seen it many times before. I think it was Steve Bruce said this week. Unless the next England manager wins the World Cup in 2 years' time, he will have considered to have failed. Simple as that. And that's a very, very difficult job to walk into.
Yeah, well, we'll watch this space on who's next. Just back to Gareth, Danny, you say you're looking forward to catching up with him, maybe having a round of golf if he does take a little sabbatical. When was the last time you had contact with him? Have you been able to get a message to him since the news broke?
Yeah. I mean, this is what Gareth is. He doesn't ignore messages. He speaks to people. In regular contact with him, via text. I know that, other friends as well, close friends from around, throughout the tournament, he's texting back. He's polite, he's humble, he understands, he's respectful, of other people. He appreciates the support that people give him. But also, I think you have to remember that he's a family man as well. He has children that have been given an awful lot of stick in this. A wife that has to deal with all that as well, and close family and friends. So it's not just the impact that all this criticism has on Gareth, who is probably, he's used to it. He can take most of it, but I think you have to look at, what sort of effect that has on your close family as well. And that's probably one of the reasons why he's decided to step away.